can see there, it's all fitted in. What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna get back to working on the front of the 49 Chevy. Gonna try to get the frame rails trimmed up and maybe get that cross member tacked in place. So it's basically what you're gonna see in this video. So let's get into it. Yeah, so basically where we're gonna start, I'm gonna clean up this area here around where the frame rails or the cross member is gonna slide up into. And in the instructions, you basically just trim out some of this flange here. And then this inner edge right here should slide smoothly up against the frame rail right here. And that's about the area where it'll be tacked in. Of course, we're gonna measure back from the front of the frame rail here, 16 inches. And that's gonna give us our center line for where the cross member should sit exactly in the center. And you mark your cross member right in the middle, and you just line up the marks. So that's what we'll do next. All right, so we pretty much got the frame rails cleaned up, so you guys can see where we're gonna be doing the welding. It's got it all ground back. So it should be good enough to start tacking in the cross member. Steel, I mean, it's not the best for a 75-year-old car, but it's definitely still nice and solid, and there's nothing that I think is too thin. It's just a little bit pitted because it's so old, but it ain't no big deal. We're gonna have to start trimming out some of the area here. You gotta trim a little bit of this and in here on both sides. And then that cross member should slide up into place. So we'll do that next. So next we're gonna have to drill out these holes to 5/8. I believe they're 1/2 inch right now. And since we're using the tubular control arms with no struts that come off the side, we got to make the hole big enough for these 5/8 bolts to mount the control arm to slide through the holes. So that's what we have to do now, is just open up all 4 of these lower control arm bolt holes to 5/8. Okay, so now we're gonna measure back 16 inches from the front core support, center of that bolt hole, back 16 inches and mark a line there, and that'll be our center line for our spindle. So we're lined up there. Puts us. All right, we got our center of our front bolt hole lines on both sides, and exactly 16 inches back we got our center lines all the way around on both frame rails. 16 inches from the center of that bolt. I measured them a few different times and they're spot on 16 inches, so you guys can see crossed. That is where the spindle center is going to be. Once you get all the suspension mocked up out here, the center of that spindle should be perfectly with that line, as is the center of the cross member and the center of the upper spring perches. So next we're going to go ahead and start trimming out this area on both sides of the center line where the cross member is going to slide up in here. So you guys can see this area here that I marked is exactly 3 3/4 inches long, and it's exactly 1 7/8 to the center of it. So this whole area of the flange has to get cut out, and that's where this edge of the control arm is going to slide right up in there. You can see the width is exactly that. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out next. All right, you can see we did our initial cuts, and that should just break right off now. A little bend in there, see? And then we'll go back in and clean that up a little bit with a grinder. So you can see our cut there, exactly centered on our center line, and the cross member fits up in there perfectly. So we're going to go across to the other side and do it again over there, and then we should be able to slide that cross member up in there and check all of our measurements. right, same as the other side. We'll just go in here and clean some of these edges up and make sure everything's nice and tight. We'll grind this ledge right here nice and flush against the wall here, so the cross member can slide right up against that wall for a nice tight fit. So right off the bat, it did not slide right in, and you can kind of see why. You can see the little weld puddles that are on each end that stick out. All that stuff's gonna have to be clearanced and ground back, and maybe even a little bit of material off like this edge here is gonna have to be ground back. So, I mean, it makes sense. That's the way these kind of kits go. You gotta definitely grind them here, grind them there, grind a little bit off the frame, take a little bit more off here until the thing slides together. There's another one down there, as you can see. That huge thing's gotta be ground smooth, or else it's just not gonna seat right. Both sides are like that. You're gonna have to flatten out all these areas so it mates up against the frame. You can see this edge here is definitely sticking out too much. That's stopping it from wanting to slide in. So we're gonna go through and grind on this, try to smooth it out, and then try it again. All right, so you guys can see I've been grinding away at it, just taking off like a 16th here, 16th there, trying to get the cross member to fit up around the rails. So you can see I got it started. It's only about, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch started up the rails. But I did get it to where it fit nice and tight. You can see the clearances are very tight, which is how I like to keep it until it fits perfectly. So we're just gonna keep grinding a little bit more off of it because it's just a little bit too tight right now. So I would say only about a 16th more, and this thing will slide right up into place. So we're gonna take it back down and give it a little more clearancing, and then we should be home free. But so far it's looking pretty good. All right, you guys, this is gonna wrap it up for today. We're gonna hit it up again tomorrow. It just got late. I did finally get the cross member fitted, which I'm super psyched about. It looks good. It's really tight in there, but it should make for better welds anyways. But I'll turn you guys around and show you what it is. So you can see there, it's all fitted in, up each side. You can see how tight it is against the frame rail. So it should make for a nice weld through there. So it'll get fully welded all the way around, underneath, both sides. I mocked up one of the control arms over here, so you can see how the lower control arm fits on there. Everything lines up nice. So super happy with the outcome on it. Really wasn't that hard to install. Just a lot of grinding and adjusting on it to get it to fit right, which that's just how it goes on these kind of kits. They definitely make them over tight so you can fit it. If it was the other way, it wouldn't fit right at all. It'd be too loose. So you definitely got to massage it a little to make it fit right. So you guys can see how tight the fit is on it. Turned out really nice. So that should definitely all weld up really clean and tight. Yeah, just super pumped about getting this part over with. So tomorrow we're gonna hit it up again, and I'll continue mocking everything up and just making it fit right, and then we should be able to start tack welding it in, and I can start assembling all the rest of the suspension. We still got to put the upper spring pockets on, so that'll probably be in tomorrow's video. And once we do that, we can pretty much just fully assemble it, and then start checking angles. I got to put the spindles on, and everything's got to be assembled, and then I can start checking the angle of the spindle to make sure that we have the right caster, camber, toe, and all that. So that's why you got to get it in place and then assemble everything with it tack welded, make sure everything's falling in spec, and then we can take everything back off and start to fully weld that cross member in once we know it's exactly where it should be. So I will see you guys tomorrow.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. It's the next day, so we're going to get back to the work on the 49, installing the front cross member. The first step today, we're going to need to do some welding on it. Pretty much got it all in place, and there's a few bushings and supports that we got to weld and tack into place before we can move on to the next step. Pretty much, I think we're going to have to make sure that it's all exactly where it needs to be and fully weld that cross member in by the end of this video. So, because I can't move on till the net to put the top hats on top of the frame until that cross member is fully welded. So that's pretty much what we're going to do today, is just make sure everything is in place and where it needs to be, because after you fully weld something, it's there, it ain't coming back out. So let's get into it. So basically now we're just going to mock up this side just like the other side. We're going to install the lower control arm and get ready to tack weld the gussets and bushings into the cross member. Right off the bat, the bushing doesn't fit, so we're gonna have to grind a little bit off the end here for it to fit flush and fit up inside the frame rail. Yeah, it's too tight. So we're just gonna keep trying to mock this up. Looks like it wants to go into place. So you can see where that inner bushing has to go, and this is gonna have to be welded on both sides here. As much as you can get around there, they say. Nice bead on both sides, and then this is gonna sit horizontally, and that's gonna get welded as well. All up around here, fully welded, and along the back side. If you guys can see it right, all around that gusset. Both sides will get fully welded. And that's what the lower control arm supports itself through that bushing and through that bushing in the gusset. And that creates your lower control arm mount on both sides. So next, we pretty much got to start welding now. So I'll make sure I tap that cross member as tight as I can up against the bottom of the frame rails, and we'll start tack welding everything.
Well, actually, it's got to be more than tack welded. It's got to be fully welded before we can start welding on the upper spring perches. So I think we're there now. I measured everything and it's as close as it's going to get, and it's within specs, so I'm happy with it. So next step is to start burning this thing in.
Went down to that river, washed my sins away. Praying, praying for another day. I went down to that river, washed my sins for free. The devil's on the other bank, staring back at me. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. Another nail in my coffin, another nail for me. I gotta look pretty when I go down. Another nail in my coffin, can't you spare one more? I gotta look pretty when I'm knocking down heaven's door. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. Light my cigarette. You ever seen a dead man talking? No, you haven't seen one yet. I'm a dead man walking. 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 I'm a dead man. I went down to that river, washed my sins for free. No one seemed to notice as I stared.
So what we do is just put a nice tack weld on each one of these in the different areas, and then I'm going to remove the control arm to get these rubber bushings out of here, because you can't weld with these rubber bushings in here. You'll just totally destroy them. So we're going to take that out and then we'll fully weld it.
Down, 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 down. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man.
All right, you guys, I got most of the lower control arm mounts welded in today, and some of the upper cross member welded in, but unfortunately I ran out of welding wire. So that's something I'm gonna try to pick up tomorrow at work, and I'm gonna have to continue this welding job on the next video. So this is gonna wrap up today. I got a lot done. We got all the gussets and bushings welded in for the lower control arms, like I said, and everything is sitting right where I want it to be, so I'm super happy with that. And we're almost there. I mean, when I get some more welding wire, I'll be able to finish a little bit of welding on the cross member, and then we can tack weld the upper spring hats in, and we can start hanging stuff after that. We can hang the control arms and the spindles and all that, and start checking the alignment specs. But yeah, so far I'm super happy with the results, and I'll turn you guys around and show you what I got done. So you can see, laid a nice row of dimes there on top of that cross member mount, and then down here you guys can see we got all these bushings welded in inside here, around here, inside of the gussets. The gussets are all welded in, top and bottom, both sides. And those connect to those lower control arm bushings. So we got all that mounted and welded in. And a little bit of the upper cross member mount here. That's right where I ran out of welding wire. So pick some up tomorrow and finish welding this all the way around. So all this will get connected all the way down and around and underneath as well. You guys can see all that's welded. So it'll get welded all up under there. You can see how nice and tight the fit is on all that. So that should weld up nicely. So yeah, super pumped. Getting closer and closer to getting this stuff done. Here's the upper spring perches we got to weld in. Those basically will just get welded right in the center, just like that. And those will get welded all the way around on each side, all the way around the back. And after we do that, we can, like I said, we can mount the spindles, and we can put the airbag in there, and we can just start mocking everything up to make sure everything's in line and in check. And that'll all get welded, fully welded. So, yep, super excited about the results, and can't wait to see this thing get put together, and we can get it all, rest of these frame rails cleaned up, everything painted. And I gotta actually stick some fenders on here to make sure that everything is where it should be, and that's gonna be important on the next step when we hang the spring perches on. We're only gonna tack weld them on here, and then, like I said, we'll mock everything up and make sure that everything lines up right. I'm gonna throw a fender on, put a tire and wheel on it, make sure the tire and wheel is centered, because that's super important, centered in the fender, which it should be. I'm not predicting anything to be off. And yeah, then after we verify that everything lines up and right, and then I'll take the fenders off, take everything back apart, and then burn the upper spring perches in completely. And after that, we can paint everything up and kind of assemble it, and it'll be a roller again. And I'll be able to inflate and deflate the airbags manually. So that'll be cool. And then the next step is to start installing that LS engine in here. Still waiting on the cylinder heads from the machine shop, so no hurry there. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. Hope you guys liked it. Leave me some comments down below on what you think about the progress so far and the Mustang 2 suspension going in the 49. It's definitely been a fun project so far. This cross member wasn't very difficult to install. It's pretty straightforward so far.
So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to follow this build. There's many more videos coming soon. So I will see you guys on the next video. Later.